Hello everyone, welcome back to the Boudoir. Thank you so much for being a Boudoir babe and liking and subscribing the channel. Definitely check out the Boudoir playlist. We have tons of self-help, self-improvement, glow up, real conversations that nobody wants to talk about. We got all of that going on. So if that's your style and you too, you at home would like to be a Boudoir babe, all you gotta do is subscribe. Can I talk at you for like 20 minutes? Is that cool? Because I've kind of been spitballing with this topic for a minute and it's not even really fully fleshed out, but I just want to have like an open dialogue because there's this thing I've been noticing. We're going to talk about it mainly in the context of social media, but this is just in general, okay? Where is the humanity? Where has the humanity gone? I'm sure we're all seeing it and feeling it. Are people getting ruder? Are people getting meaner? Like there's just this weird animosity and I don't understand what's going on, but we're going to get into it right now because I have questions that need to be answered and I'm not understanding how we got to this point in time where we're just always so hostile toward one another. And you already know what I'm gonna say, okay? This is mainly seen on social media comment sections. This is where I see it the most. People acting like they have no home training, people acting like they are caged animals, and the second somebody says something slightly off, they're ready to argue down, back and forths in comment sections for days, months, new replies to old replies to new comments. That didn't make sense, but you know what I'm talking about. And I don't even want to say this is really new because I feel like people have just always been assholes on the internet because it gives them a sense of anonymity. And when you're able to hide behind a little SpongeBob profile picture, you can say anything you want. Although please don't use SpongeBob's picture and likeness for your debauchery. Like we really don't need that. He's a pure soul. He doesn't need this type of evil behavior. Thank you. Signed, a SpongeBob fan. Yes, I am in a silly goofy mood this evening. I don't know why, but I'm just so hype. But yeah, the lack of humanity is mainly on these comment sections. And I just want to know, like, why are we so mad at each other? Like, what's going on? I don't get it. Like, why can't we just be friends? You'll see a video of a woman, a grandmother, knitting her grandchildren beautiful little warm, cozy baby beanies. And then you have people arguing down for like 2 months straight about who knows what. Do you know? I don't know. But they're arguing. There's something to argue about these baby knits, you know? Here on the internet, we could always find a problem. And it just feels like there's this battle of who can be the meanest, who can be the harshest, who could say the most outlandish, just unnecessary comment possible. And people truly, in their heart of hearts, believe that it's appropriate to get on a stranger's video and comment something about their looks or comment something that has nothing to do with what the video is about, attacking others for no reason. And yes, there's a lot of bots on the internet for whatever reason, and that's another thing. Like, where do these bots come from? Who's making these bots? Like, who's in charge of them? Who's programming them to say these things? Because we always talk about these bots and these faceless profiles, but it's like, who's behind it? Because there's a person behind that making them do these functions, these fake accounts. But like, that's another story for another time. The anonymity makes people so emboldened to say things that they would never in a million years say to you in person. And it just seems like you get rewarded for being mean and harsh and overly critical. And I don't understand where this came from. I've talked about this on the podcast before, where people will just project their insecurities onto people who are completely unexpecting, who are just simply posting an outfit of the day. And then you got people in the comments like, wow, you wear your hip dips so well. I wish I could do that. Oh, you're so confident. I could never be me, but you do it, girl. Don't even get me started on the passive aggressivity of some of these comments. Like, there's nothing more that I hate than a bad faith actor. And I'm just asking, I just have a question. Like, what? I can't ask questions? Like, somebody that's intentionally playing dumb, trying to get a reaction out of you on purpose. You know, we don't do bad faith actors over here. We talk about them all the time because you need to know they're so sneaky sometimes. Like, sometimes, you know, as they call it, rage bait, sometimes it's more obvious to pick up on, but sometimes it's not. These people will have you do free labor and like explain yourself to strangers over the internet and try to justify the way you live, justify the way you dress, justify how you lose weight or work out. And these people are made intentionally to make you exert your energy and exhaust yourself because they're never asking to actually understand. Everybody that asks a question is not a bad faith actor, but the people who are not asking in true earnestness, who just want to bump their gums, you can tell because it's never from a genuine place. There's always a little hint and seasoning of condescension, and I don't like that, and passive aggressiveness. And of course, besides the mean comments where people are just trying to one up one another, and wow, you're so brave for saying this, I just came here to the comments to see what everybody else was saying, those miserable low lives. Along with that comes,
but I don't like bean soup. I don't like beans. I'm allergic to apples even though I clicked on an apple pie recipe. Everything needs to revolve around me.
Those people as well. We're in a literacy crisis. You know, that's just a given. I think we all are aware of that by now, but I always want to reiterate that because, like, yeah, we're actually in that literacy crisis now. Like, I feel like everybody always describes these things as like, oh, these things are coming, like, oh, we're about to be in this. No, like, we're actually in it. The way people are so committed to misunderstanding and having conflict for the sake of conflict actually doesn't make sense. When most of the time these people are creating conflict because they didn't watch the full video, they're taking the words too literally, and they're trying to apply it as a blanket statement to everybody's situation, and that's never going to work. Nothing is ever truly one size fits all for the most part. And so you have these people who think that every single thing that they come across has to be perfectly tailored to them, and that's not possible because that's not how the world works. Like, are you constantly walking around the world and everything is exactly how you want it? Absolutely not. You don't always like the people you come across. You don't always like your coworkers. You don't always like the people you're in class with. It doesn't always go your way. So how come on the internet it's like you don't know how to process the fact that there's people that are different from you? Why is it that in the world we can somewhat understand that, at least to a point where we're not like starting random arguments with people in class or like at work in the way that we would in a comment section where we feel comfortable and that we have that little bit of anonymity to hide ourselves? Even if we have our profile picture up, you're not actually sitting there and having this conversation face to face with that person. But then there's this disconnect where when you go on the internet, you act like everything has to be for you. Not you specifically, but like the people that do this. And like I said, most of the time they either didn't listen to the whole thing, they didn't read the full tweet, they didn't actually sit for a second and think and either take this piece of information that somebody posted and be like, you know what, this might not be for me, so I'm just going to leave it in this little space and time and just scroll past and just live. Nope, they'd rather continue to engage with the content even though they don't like it, so it's going to continue showing up on their For You page and continue to trigger them and put them in that space where they feel so triggered by this person's words, and they make it everybody else's problem. They make it the creator's problem, and then we get into disclaimer culture. Okay, that's when you gotta be like, and by the way guys, I just want to say I know not everybody has to go through this, and then also I'm talking about this group of people and I just have to mention that you're going into short circuit because people don't know how to just take the information for what it is and move on and either apply it to their life, take it for what it is objectively, or just leave it alone and not even just step over it like a puddle. Okay, that's the problem. That's why there's so much animosity. Okay, we feel like everything has to be related to us, and that's just not possible. And so when it doesn't exactly tailor to our exact needs, we blame it on the creator as if it's their fault, when in reality, how can anybody account for all of these mystery situations and things that they didn't take into account? Like, how can you actually do that? You can't predict everybody's individual nuanced situation, because even if me and somebody else and another person, 3 people were in the same situation, it's going to be a little different because we have our own little things going on and our own little quirks and nuances. For example, when people will make that like femininity, here's how to get princess treatment type of content, not everybody wants to be married, not everybody wants to have a family, not everybody's looking to do that type of lifestyle, but you know, people like Shira, that advice still could apply in some areas, maybe not all areas. Maybe, you know, we don't want to date 95-year-olds, okay? I know I don't. No shade, but I would feel kind of embarrassed. This is just a little tangent. I was always thinking about this, like, as much as I love the sprinkle stuff, and you know, I don't take it all to heart. As I say, like, I take what resonates and leave what doesn't, but like, realistically, would you ever date an 85-year-old man as a young hot woman? I don't care if you're 40, you're still young and hot. Would you? Because I don't think I can do it. I'm just saying, I don't. Yeah, all right, moving on. Yeah, I think if more of us just accepted the fact that like everything doesn't have to be for us, I think moving about online would be so much easier and so much more pleasant for everybody, and less like unnecessary fighting, because like, what are we actually talking about and arguing about most of the time? Like, some of these conversations I'll look, you know how you just read the comments? I love to read the comments. Sometimes the comments are funnier than the actual video, but some of these people speak so crazy to these creators. They have some weird attitudes, or they'll create a whole narrative based on a 15-second TikTok. Like, how did you write this fan fiction? How did you come up with this? There'll be people like theorizing on how the relationship really is. You don't know these people. They're just showing you what they're choosing to show. And that even goes for if they're showing a luxurious, lavish lifestyle. You don't know if they're really living like that. You don't know if they're in credit card debt. You don't know if they're borrowing loans and stuff. And it's not our business to know that. Your job is to take the content for what it is, like it and enjoy it, or scroll past. That's it. And I wish that more of us would get to that point, because it's getting weird. And like, not even just online, like in politics and other areas, everybody is just so black or white. And like, that's why a lot of the times I don't engage with that stuff anymore like I used to. Like back in the day, I used to be all over politics. Like I was way more of an advocate and I would like endorse people publicly. But these days, the way people process information, and like, people are just so, they want to prove themselves right, or they just want to like hear themselves talk. So like, most of the time people aren't even looking to have a real conversation. They just want to prove how smart they are, how much they know about government or a certain topic, and just like dunk on people with their knowledge. Like there's no actual wanting to come to a common ground and like understand and empathize with one another. It's just, let me prove how smart I am and how much I know. Lip service. And you know, I'm just not really here for that. Like these days, it's not good. We need to put a focus on engaging with things more critically. When you're scrolling through however many videos we scroll past on TikTok a day, I'm sure it's in the hundreds, and you're not engaging with all of that content fully. Like most of it is going to be filler and garbage or background noise for the most part. And then here or there, you get the videos that make you laugh. You get the videos that are cute, like, oh, the little baby that finally learned how to walk, or like, you know, the nonverbal kid who finally spoke for the first time, the blind girl who can finally see. Like you'll get those like nice moments. And then you'll get those discourse videos that get you really activated and hyped up and charged up and ready to sound off and stitch. Like there's so many different things you're interacting with, but the point I'm making is that it's not all going to resonate with you. It's not all going to like get you all activated and like ready to go and make you feel something. The most of it is background noise. And that's kind of like real life too. Like you're not becoming besties with everybody you come across with. You're not dating and falling in love with every single person you've come across with. We need to apply that same logic online too. I don't know where the disconnect came from, but it's something to be said, especially in the context of engaging with things critically. Because when you don't engage with media critically, you can fall victim to propaganda. None of us are exempt from falling victim to propaganda. And especially these days when it's like election time, war times, there's things and conflicts going on all over the world. Stay woke. This is not the time to turn off your cognitive dissonance. This is not the time to be anti-intellectualism. And it's like, you should pay attention. If people are putting so much of an emphasis on education and like banning certain books, banning certain conversations from being talked about and taught in schools, like that is the time where you really need to go balls to the walls and like arm yourself with knowledge. Because the way we're heading, like the literacy is going to continue to decline. We're seeing it in the schools. The kids are having a hard time reading for whatever the case may be. Our attention spans being on these phones are getting shorter and shorter and shorter by the day, and don't let you have real diagnosed ADHD on top of that. Like just another double whammy. Okay, it's a lot going on. And you know, I do want to be fair and say that another reason why a lot of us feel so hostile and angry right now, look at the state of the world. Okay, most of us in this country are one paycheck away from the literal whole trajectory of our lives being changed for the worse. One paycheck away from homelessness, one emergency away from not having money to pay your rent. Like, hey, it's real out here. Unemployment, the jobs are posting fake jobs. There's some creepy weird stuff going on out here, and people have a right to be upset. All of these food callbacks, we're not making enough to live, especially if you live in a big city. But it doesn't even matter where you live. Like, it's all, the cost of living is just insane no matter what. So I think it speaks to the times we're living in, where, you know, the internet is supposed to be an escape for us, and you're not trying to be like all mean and angry and hostile on a place where you're trying to escape and relax. So we have to be mindful and make sure what we're consuming is not draining us. If you're coming to social media for an escape and then you leave feeling even more depleted and defeated than you did before you got on the app, we need to fix that. We're not watching the content that we should be watching. And it's very sneaky. Trust me, I fall into it too. I love it. Sometimes I love the discourse. Sometimes I love the drama, especially if I'm not, you know, I don't really have a dog in that fight. I'm just kind of like observing. I actually kind of love those because I just like to observe what conversations are going on. But this year, the amount of discourses that I've seen that were just so unnecessary unnecessary and just like out of thin air because people were bored, like we actually need to reel that in. Like some of these people are just talking for the sake of, and I get it, you know, we want that creator reward fund, we need that money, people gotta pay their bills, but it comes to a certain point where it's like, if your content is solely you talking about other people, no shade, but if that's all you do, if your page is about everybody else's drama, you don't have anything to offer, I'm just saying, like, some of this discourse stuff is getting out of hand, especially those people that will intentionally be like overly inflammatory because they know rage pays the bills. Because when you have all of these people stitching them in their like crazy video that was super opinionated, you're getting all of these eyes and all of these people's audiences onto their page. It's kind of like a marketing strategy at this point. Outrage sells. People want to see, ooh, who are they talking about? Type the name in the comments, and then you finally get it. You go to the page, you start looking at their other content. It's money, and you know what? I'm not even mad at it because like we're all getting hoed out by capitalism anyway. So it's like, do what you got to do as long as you're not stealing from innocent people. We all got to survive. So I'm not even really mad at it, but it's like, what do you want your space to be? Like, what do you want to be remembered for? This is your digital footprint. I don't want to be known as the girl who just makes inflammatory statements. Like, I mean, I may say things that everybody doesn't always want to hear, but I don't think I'm so inflammatory where that's what I do. Like, I rely on the shock factor and like the outrage that my words will cause. That's not sustainable. And honestly, that would drain me, because why do I want to just be miserable and angry every single time I pick up a camera? Like, that's not fun. I love talking to you guys. Like, you see how happy I am? Look at this smile. I love it here. I don't want to be ranting and raving. Sometimes I do, but like I'm done. I don't want to exert my energy in that way. And I just feel like if my content is getting me that activated and riled up, it might be time to pivot. I don't know, like some people are just really, really, really mad right now. And I get it, you know, it feels good to kind of like punch down on somebody or, you know, talk shit in somebody's comment section because you're not having a good time at home. You're not happy. So you want to take some of that negative energy off of you and put it onto somebody else. It's just, for the long run, it's just not worth it. And it's not nice. Like, we're all struggling out here. We're all just trying to make it day by day. Like, nobody wants it to be this hard. We all wish we could just have like a nice work-life balance. We didn't have to work a million hours a week to get 2 cents. Like, we want to relax, we want to be happy, so just be kinder, show more empathy. Like, I don't know, you don't know what's going on with that person in that comment section. You don't know what that creator is going through. And I just think that if more of us tried to put empathy into practice, we wouldn't feel so like angry all the time. And that goes into my next point that I want to make. Can I put my tinfoil hat on for a second? Is that okay with you? I feel like the government is slowly but surely trying to make us more sociopathic as the years go on, so that they can continue doing nefarious things across the globe and right in our front yards and backyards. But we'll be so desensitized by that point and we'll be so apathetic, and I think that that's what their goal is, and they're slowly trying to see like how far they can push it. I could be reaching, but I low-key feel like there's something weird going on, because I just feel like the lack of empathy and the way people are just so quick to like shit on others and cancel and attack and berate and just pitchfork, the virtual pitchfork mobs of it all. Like, everybody's so quick to attack and exert negative energy onto somebody. Like, each week there's a new person to cancel. Some of it is deserved, but like some of it is like, do you just want to see the spectacle of somebody being canceled? Because that's what it's giving. Like, I feel like a lot of people are more so entertained by the idea of like somebody being shamed, like public shaming, for shame. I feel like they just want to be a part of that more than they actually care about the problem. And I think that cancel culture has done some good in the sense that people are more aware of like their actions have consequences. But of course, when it comes to somebody getting canceled, when it comes to somebody being in the hot seat for this week on the internet, because there's more people on the opposing side of like the jury of who gets to decide to be canceled, they're always going to be right in the court of public opinion, because if multiple people are saying the same thing and they all believe they're right, they're going to act as if that's the truth. And so it's kind of not fair, especially if somebody's getting canceled for arbitrary reasons. Like, it's kind of like, do they really deserve it? I don't know, it's up to you, but it doesn't matter because you're going to get attacked and you're going to get the finger pointed at you. That's how the internet is these days. It's all about the court of public opinion. Even if somebody got the story wrong and the details wrong and it didn't actually actually happen the way they said. Once they've decided what the story is and what the narrative is, they're going to run with it. That's just how it is. Again, I think that goes back to lack of literacy. It goes back to the black and white thinking of, all right, you're either good or bad, evil or virtuous, wrong or right. There's no room to like see other perspectives. I urge you, the internet can become an echo chamber. And I'm not saying you need to be listening to like some red pill people or like some people that are just all the way wrong, like never that. But what I'm saying is make sure you diversify the information that you're taking in, even if it's like somebody who still has the same morals or message that you believe in, they just say it in a different way. I think it's important to diversify your information in that way, because when you get stuck on only taking in what you believe in, you can get stuck in that echo chamber, black or white, my way or the highway type of thinking, and you start losing sight of thinking critically, because it's all about what I think and what I think is right. I'm not saying you have to agree with those people either, but I'm just saying it's important to remember that not everybody is going to see things the way you see it, and no matter how much you kick, scream, cry, rant, rave on a camera, spit on the screen, back up a little bit, like no matter how much you do that, somebody's always going to have a different opinion than you, and you just have to accept that that is always going to be the reality. Like those two truths are always going to exist at the same time. We talked about that last week too a little bit. Like I think a lot of people get hung up on that because they want to convince somebody of something so bad. They want people to see their side and their thinking so badly, and you're wasting time. Like they don't care. They've already figured it out. They made up their mind and they're gonna go with that. It's very hard to change somebody's mind for the most part on like the fundamental things that they believe in. I'm not talking about, oh, this song is trash, oh no, give it another chance, oh, you know what, I actually do like it. I'm talking about like real fundamental things like morals and stuff. And then lastly, I wanted to quickly touch on the way that we process trauma and hard things that happen in society. As soon as somebody passes away, there's a 50 million memes about it. People on Twitter are fired up, kikiing, laughing, ha-haing. You see it on TikTok. People are, using people's sounds. People are quick. And I'm not going to sit on a high horse and act like I don't be laughing at some memes of serious situations, depending on how serious it is. And I am kind of the camp of like, you have to laugh to keep from crying, but sometimes gets a little strange and bizarre and a little weird when people will like, as soon as something happens, their first thought is, how can I make a meme out of this? How can I get a hit tweet off of this? How can I go viral off of this? Like, we're girl bossing a little too close to the sun. What's going on here? I think that level of like needing to have attention, even in the face of danger and tragedy, we're starting to get a little too insensitive in that area, especially when it came to like he who shall not be named, the D person who is currently on trial for doing all of those terrible things. Like the way people rushed and ran to make jokes out of people's real life trauma, and like real people who will have to look on the internet and see all these comments of people laughing about whatever happened at those parties. Like, you need a hit tweet that bad and you're gonna use this situation for that? Like, I don't know. I can't put a finger on it, but there's just something I don't like about how we tend to process trauma. Even with like having the accessibility of being able to see trauma firsthand all over the world, whether you're seeing natural disasters a couple states over from you, whether you're seeing famine take place in these countries all over the world, you're seeing it firsthand. And by doing that and seeing it enough, you kind of do get not desensitized. I wouldn't say you get desensitized, but you can get desensitized in the sense that it's just so convenient. And we're not supposed to like have 1, 2, 3 clickety click access to like seeing distraught people in despair and like hunger and famine and all of these terrible things that are going on. We're not supposed to have that like so readily available, and the fact that we do, I think, also takes a toll on the reason why we don't feel the need to like react so much. But I want you guys to remember, like, don't fall into that trap. I don't know who said this. I think it was Angela Davis, but she basically said like, I never want to not be shocked or saddened whenever something happens, like whenever a tragedy happens. You can't get used to that. You can never just let it be, oh, that's just how it is, because once you start doing it, that's how they get you. Whenever you start accepting that that's the norm, that's when you lose. You have to keep your humanity even when things look really dark, and I'm telling you, it's only going to get worse on the internet over the next few years with this lack of literacy, the lack of, wanting to engage with things critically, the lack of being able to see multiple perspectives at once. You have to protect yourself. You have to stay empathetic. You have to stay kind. You have to stay critical because no one can take those qualities away from you. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. Do you think that we're slowly but surely losing some of our humanity? Do you feel like some of us try to act too unbothered on the internet? Do some people need to watch their mouths in comment sections? Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and definitely make sure to rate me 5 stars if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or any other streaming service. And let me know what other topics you guys would like me to talk about on the Boudoir, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!